Bobby Durkins. I'm Brian Knight, and obviously I'm not Bobby Durkins here. So thank you so much for joining me on this preview of the Louisville Clemson game. And first off, I did a little redecorating. I hate to say it like that. I just went in, put up some of my Clemson flags. A good friend of mine made this sign for me. Sawmill Shop, check him out. The Sawmill Shop. He's online, makes great cutouts and so on. But I was like, man, I really need to make this look better and feel better, and I did. What you can't see is that right behind me is the whole football helmet and everything, but just in this tight area, I really couldn't do anything much more with it, so I'm having to sit in front of it. But if you're new here, most likely you are because it's still a brand new channel, hit the subscribe button and turn on the notifications, and pass it along to anyone, especially Clemson fans, or pass it along to a fan of the other team that I'm previewing. I really do appreciate it. So, Clemson, Louisville, the tale of two different teams, really. Louisville is on a 4-game winning streak. Let's just really look at their schedule, and I'm going to go to their full schedule right now. I have my laptop here, so if you see me looking down, I'm not having like an episode and I'm staring off or something, but... So, Louisville has won 4 games in a row coming into this game. Cunningham, of course, has had some injuries, but he's playing. He's going to play against Clemson, bar some crazy something happening. But so Louisville started off the season with a 31-7 loss to Syracuse. Then they beat UCF, which UCF is now a top 20, top 25 team. They're playing Tulane this weekend, which is another top 20 team. That's kind of odd to see Tulane be a top 20 team, but I guess toilets are flushing backwards. They lost Florida State 35-31 early on in the season. They beat South Florida 41-3. Then they lost, a really interesting game, they lost to Boston College 34-33. It was at Boston College. And it looks like Louisville is just absolutely out of the running. But over the past 4 weeks, they have won 4 games in a row, starting with Virginia. Okay, you can say, well, Virginia's not that good, but, you know. But they won. They won the game. They beat Pittsburgh. And then over this past 2 weeks ago, they played Wake Forest, and they beat them by 27 points, 48-21. I mean, they really hunkered down on Wake Forest. It's just nuts. Then they played James Madison. I know they're a Sun Belt school. I know this is their first year in the Sun Belt, but James Madison is not just a complete and total pushover. So they're on a 4-game winning streak. At this point in the season, Louisville, led by Malik Cunningham, is 6-3. They're 3-3 in the conference. Malik Cunningham has made it very open that he's tired of being called Lamar Jackson Jr. or some derivative of Lamar Jackson. He said, I'm done with it. I'm sick of it. I'm tired of that happening. I just want to be Malik Cunningham. And I don't blame him. I definitely don't blame him. His numbers on the season, he's thrown 199 passes. He's completed 123 of them. He has 1,477 yards in the air, 8 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Now on the ground, he has 104 rushing attempts, 541 yards, 11 touchdowns. Of course, some defensive sacks are mixed in there. But the problem with playing Cunningham is that he is mobile and that he can actually take off. And you have to respect that, it extends plays. It creates more danger in the RPO department. A lot of teams are running RPO with quarterbacks who really can't run that well, and it doesn't make sense. But you take someone like Coastal Carolina. I knew they're a small school. They're here in the state of South Carolina. I really enjoy. I pull for them. I really like their team. The reason their RPO is so good is because they have a quarterback who can pull the ball and throw it on a line downfield, or he can keep the ball himself and absolutely beast you running downfield. He's quick, but he's someone who will lower his pads on you and run you over. So the RPO makes sense when your quarterback can actually run the ball, but he can throw the football. He's a true dual threat quarterback. No, Malik Cunningham can throw the ball, and you have to respect that. As far as receivers, they have Tyler Hudson lined up. He's 46 receptions, 703 yards, and 1 touchdown receiving. So I can sit here and read stats to you all day long. I will kind of hit some high spots for us Clemson fans and Louisville fans. I don't know. I can't speak today. Once again, I hope if y'all see my face droop, just somebody get me some help. Clemson's averaging 34.6 points per game. Louisville is averaging around 30 points per game. The defense for Clemson's allowing 21.6. Of course, you see an uptick after that whole Notre Dame debacle. Louisville is allowing 19 points per game. On the offensive side of the ball, Louisville, they're averaging about 423 yards per game. On the offensive side, they're only allowing 343 yards on the defensive side of the ball. Clemson, on the other hand, 405 yards on the offensive side of the ball, 334 allowance on the defensive side of the ball. All right, kind of laid some groundwork. We're 7 minutes into the video, and the game's at Clemson, 3:30 kickoff, and Clemson is a 7-point favorite in their house. And I'm just going to start by telling you that's a problem. When Clemson is at home and they're a 7-point favorite over a 6-3 team. And look, Louisville has 4 consecutive wins. And I don't want to just be disrespectful to them, because they were going down a terrible path. I mean, for goodness sakes, they lost to Boston College. I mean, Boston College they lost to UConn. Come on, guys. And I know UConn is getting better. Jim Mora's, he's doing his thing up there, and good for them. But come on, UConn? But with that said, they do have the wins, the best ones, the throttling of Wake Forest. You have to respect a team that was, 2-3, really buckling in and going the extra mile. You have to respect them to a point. But that team is only a 7-point underdog in Death Valley. That should really ring the alarm for Clemson fans and for the coaching staff. Clemson comes into this game after being decimated 35-14. At one time, it was 28-0. A Notre Dame team who came out and played their butt off. I know Notre Dame fans right now is not going to like what I'm saying. I don't think that Notre Dame is back. I think that Notre Dame does have talent. I believe that Notre Dame can play, but the maturity level is still not there with them. But Notre Dame, and I said this last week in my video, Notre Dame, their tendency this season is to play up with top talent. And when they play someone who is terrible, is to play down with that talent. That's not my opinion. Go look at their schedule. So don't be shocked if they come out and they play BC or some team like that, and somehow BC, who lost to UConn, who Clemson easily beat, turns around and at least plays well with Notre Dame. Now, I could be wrong. They could lose by 50. And I know this is not a Notre Dame preview. I'm just saying Notre Dame did it. Notre Dame beat the crap out of Clemson, period. And I believe that that was a good thing for Clemson. Clemson needs to realize that they have issues. They have issues, and these issues has been covered up by fantastic players over the years. Trevor Lawrence being one of them. Travis Etienne being one of them. These great players that are mixed. T. Higgins. these great players mixed in, and covering up. They're so good that you could call simple plays. You could call an ordinary game, and the talent is so good that they're going to beat most everybody until you play someone who has like talent and they actually scheme very well. Satterfield is definitely, and I believe, a very, very good coach. I believe for Louisville, and especially all the crazy stuff that's went on there over the past 10 years. I mean, just up and down. I mean, and I'm not talking about like, they got into the top 25. I'm talking about they literally was a top 5 team at one time. And then they go all the way down. I mean, just nosedive. What, 77-14 loss to Clemson a few years back. Satterfield, to take over that team, it was a suicide mission, and that he's done what he's done is a big deal. And hats off to him. So what do I think about this game? This is one of the very few times, whether it's me as Bobby Durkins doing the whole crazy bit there, or just my personal opinion, which I know this is my first season talking about this, but if you've watched any other my other videos, or you know me personally, I always have something to say about a game. And this is one of the very few times I don't know what to say. Clemson has athletes all over the field. They really do. And I'm just going. I'll tell you. I'll give you insight into a phone call I had with my dad earlier. We were talking about this game, and we were talking about the rest of the season. And folks, I'm just going to say something that he said, and I agree with him. And this guy, he's been pulling for Clemson for way longer than me. All right, this is, even though he's my dad, and he's been around a lot of really big sports teams. His job used to have him around, the very best for a very long time. And I'll make this comment that he said. Basically, if Clemson, namely Sweeney, did not get the picture this past weekend, past saying, it's the normal stuff. Our team wasn't ready, and that's my fault. Most coaches are going to say that. We've got to play better football. The kudos to the other team for having a great game plan. Folks, listen to me. A lot of coaches says that, and I believe in Sweeney. But there's something that we have seen change over the past few years. Since the last national championship, we have seen lackadaisical coaching. We have seen a change in the approach to who is coaching and why they're coaching there. If they are a former player, they're in. I know Wes Goodwin is not a former player, but the team is saturated with them. And that is not how Dabo Swinney became Dabo Swinney. It's not. How he became Dabo Swinney was, and I want you to think about this, and this is something my dad said. He said, I want you to think about this. The year that Clemson lost 70-33 in the Orange Bowl to, I misspoke the other night, as Bobby, I said that we lost to Pat White, but it was Geno Smith. And thanks for somebody correcting me on that. But the year that we did that, all right, did we not win the 10 games like for the first time in forever? Did we not win the ACC championship? I'm pretty sure we did. And instead of Sweeney coming out and looking at Clemson Nation and going, hey, I got you 10 wins for the first time since, Reagan was still alive. Oh, I got you an ACC championship for the first time in flipping forever. I know we just lost by 37 points, but y'all should be happy. No, what did Sweeney do? Sweeney came out and went, man, I'm. And he fired Kevin Steele and he hired Brent Venables. The switch that we're seeing, I think that if that West Virginia game happened today, I believe Sweeney would walk up to the mic and say, look, there's 130 teams or something like that. In college football, they'd love to win the conference championship. They'd love to have 10 wins. They'd love to be ranked in the top 25. I know that we just got absolutely emasculated out there, but that is what we're seeing out of Sweeney. Sweeney has changed. Now, do I believe that he has it in him to come back to this just absolutely mow down machine that he was? Oh yeah, I believe it's still in him. It's just the question, will he return to that competitive edge that says, look, I'm going to make a cattle call, as I like to say it, cattle call for coaches, and by the law and numbers, I'll find someone who fits my culture, who is a great coach, who will lead these men to be young men, and they might even complement my coaching, but they will win. They'll complement our culture, and they will win. My question is, did that loss at Notre Dame actually wake that up in him? Because if it did, Clemson fans, we have national championships coming. Not this year. We'll have more national championships. But I'm going to tell you, if it didn't, the best case scenario for Clemson football, this is going to be hard for some of you to hear, and some of you are going to totally tune out, and you're going to leave some snarky comment, but I'm going to tell you this. If that did not wake him up the other night to a team who is getting better, Notre Dame isn't it. Notre Dame, I've been there pulling for a team before, and they did like Notre Dame did, go out and beat a really, really good team. It's like, we're coming back, and then you lose. We don't know. Good for the Irish, you beat the crap out of us. History's shown us that you have to continue to win games to prove that you're back. Just tell Texas that. Did everybody remember Sam Ehlinger? We're back! After they beat Georgia in the Sugar Bowl, and then after that, the coach that was coaching is not even there anymore. And that's been a few years ago. It does not mean that you're back because you beat Clemson. But if that did not wake up Sweeney, we will lose more games, folks. We will lose more games, and it's going to be humiliating. This game, and I point at my screen because it's right there, but this Louisville game is extremely losable for us. It's extremely losable. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you, I've been doing this long enough. I've been following sports long enough. I know the rebuttals that's going on right now. Well, I'm going to tell you, man, they've had a good hard week of practice, and the coach, he's walked in there, he's looked at his coaches, he's read them their rights, and they go, listen to me, you can read someone their rights who doesn't have the ability to coach better than what they're doing, and you're just blowing more hot air into the wind. If the coaching on this team it does not have it in them to be better coaching, you can sit there and talk till you're blue in the face and nothing's going to change. Except you're now blue in the face and your heart rate is probably at an alarmingly high rate. So my point is also another one for you to take to the bank for people who is just giving the Dabo's going to fix it kind of deal. Once again, he can. I want to keep coming back. He can if he'll get back to what got him to be who we know him as. Okay? Had he been coaching in the same way he is right now, after that 70-33 loss to West Virginia, Kevin Steele would still be the coach right now on the defensive side of the ball. And you need to understand that. You need to get that through. For some of you who are hanging on to just being honest with you, if we want this thing fixed, I don't know. And you say, well, hey man, I tuned in here to hear more about Louisville, and you're talking about really the direction of our team. It is sad that a game with Louisville, a team that's 6-3, they were 2-3 until they started, winning 4 in a row. They're 3-3 in the conference. They have no shot at the conference championship. It is a shame that they're going to be playing in Death Flippin' Valley, and they're only a 7-point underdog. 7-point underdog. So what does that tell you? Clemson's lost their sting. Louisville's not coming off of wins over Georgia or Ohio State or Bama. They're not. They're coming off of a win against James Madison, Wake Forest. Who else was in there? Pittsburgh and UVA. The best win there was Wake Forest. Wake Forest is falling apart. I mean, folks, this should alarm everyone. And so, just to finish what my dad said, it might be good for us to lose this game. If the 35-14, and I agree with him, 35-14 loss at Notre Dame did not wake up, mainly Sweeney, because listen to me, if Sweeney is like, hey, we're just going to coach harder, and we're going to get a little tougher on this, that, and the other, the players can wake up and come out and use it. We have great players on our team. Overall, we have a team that should come out and shellac this team, this Louisville team, by 3 touchdowns. By talent. By talent. On the field. And maybe they do. They come out there and they do it. But you know what? They put a Band-Aid on the gunshot wound that has been there since the sophomore year of Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence didn't get better, folks. He didn't get better after his freshman year. I'm sorry, he didn't. They had Travis Etienne, and in the Sugar Bowl against LSU, Tony Elliott forgot about Travis Etienne being on his team. He did not say that. He said, well, we forsook the run a little quick. How do you forsake the run? So you're telling me if Barry Sanders was back there, and Travis Etienne, though talented, is not Barry Sanders. There was only one Barry Sanders. There was only one Walter Payton. But you mean to tell me that you forsook the run with that guy? Folks, this has been happening for a long time, which I'm just going to go ahead and close this down. We're almost 25 minutes. I try to keep these between 15 and 20 minutes, and I always fail at it. Louisville is a 7-point underdog in Clemson, South Carolina on a 3:30 game. Clemson 8-1. 8-1. That should make even the homers who, no matter what happens with Clemson, they would see, when Clemson was losing, 7, 8 ball games a year, and they're still going to the stadium. That should even scare them. Probably won't, but it should. And so, folks, I'm going to tell you, I really don't know what's going to happen in this game. Normally, I go into a game and I'm like, this is going to give a couple of, this, that, and the others, and we'll win by a couple of touchdowns. Everything will be all right. I can't say that, folks. I can't say that. I hope Clemson wins, but there's a part of me that I'm going to say this as a fan looking at the long term. And some of you are not going to watch me again or tell me I'm stupid and I'm crazy. And that's fine. I've heard that before. Some of you are right and some of you are wrong. But if Sweeney's not awake, maybe we need to lose this game. If Sweeney's not awake, maybe we need to lose to the Chickens in Columbia. You want to talk about mad? You want to say Clemson? You want to see Clemson fans lose their mind? You want to see people take off the orange-colored glasses? You want to see people go on to Clemson Tiger publications, the various ones that's going on. If you read any of them right now, a lot of them I don't, because a lot of them is just, it's annoying. You are right, Parker Henderson. It's better than being a Gamecock. Give this a like and pass it along to your friends in different Facebook and forums and so on. I do appreciate it. But folks, if this is what we've come to in Clemson football, to where Louisville is a 7-point underdog to an 8-1 Clemson team that has Brian Bresee playing for it. You remember when getting Brian Bresee on the team and Miles Murphy was a big deal? I do. You remember when it was a big deal that they signed Tyler Davis? Do you remember that it was a big deal when Trenton Simpson decided he was going to come play for Clemson? Do you remember when it was a big deal that Will Shipley was going to come play at Clemson? Do you remember that? I do. They're on the team, folks. We're not talking about Christian Wilkins. That team with these players are a 7-point favorite. Only a 7-point favorite over a team that is 6-3. That should tick you off. And that should wake up everybody. I'm just going to give out a prediction. I think Clemson inks out the win 14-10. And I don't know. If Louisville wins the ball game, I could see it being somewhere in that same score, 14-10ish. And our it's just our defense keeping us in the game, the offense coming out, laying a golden turd. It could be somewhere like that. I would say that it would be a more high-scoring game. Maybe somewhere, maybe 21-14. 21-14, 21-17. Louisville, if they win. If we win somewhere in that. But I'm actually split on this, because I'm going to tell you what I saw this past Saturday night. And Parker Henderson makes a great point. If anybody wants to take it over and under on how many passes we're going to see out to the right and to the left, the swing passes, I bet there's a tally running in Vegas right now. I mean, when Clemson did throw the ball downfield, I know they had the interception, blah, blah, blah. When they did throw the ball down the field the other night, they did pretty solid on it. And then they went back to throwing the ball out to the right and the left. Folks, I'm going to tell you right now, that does not need to be at Clemson. That can be at Presbyterian College. That can be, Jamie Chadwell down at Coastal. Jamie Chadwell at Coastal would absolutely fire anybody who has our type of play, our offensive play calling. He would fire them. I think a lot of Jamie Chadwell. I don't know about him as a person. Seems like a nice guy. I've heard good things about him. I'm talking merely coaching. If he, sells fentanyl to 3-year-olds, I don't know about that. I mean, that would be terrible. But my point is that he wouldn't put up with it. And there's a lot of coaches that's in top tier programs like Clemson. Don't wait until we start losing recruits. Because once you've started losing recruits, that's like a hemorrhage on a major artery that you can't stop. And I could care less if I'm in I work from home. I'm a remote worker. Today it was really heavy work during the morning through the afternoon, and now it's laid back. So that's when I get to do these videos. I might be here on my camera doing my live stream, and people can say, forget that guy, and you can go to your local Tiger publication and read something different. But that's fine. That's fine. How has that worked out for us? It hasn't worked out well. Heads should roll. So, anyway, I'm going to shut up here. Hopefully our Tigers win. And if they're not woke up, hopefully the Tigers lose. And it will wake them up. It'll wake the coaching, it'll wake the decision makers up who are making millions of dollars and go, how you got here is not the way you're still coaching. Period. Call it. Call it. I'm going to go through here and say hello to a few people who is on this. Y'all forgive me for my fat finger in this, and my phone is about to die, so if it just goes off, it goes there. Got Slim Shady Canes in there. May there to you. It's good to see you, buddy. Oh, I forgot. That's on the other channel. Can't do that here. It's good to see you. Parker Henderson, my old buddy down there, said, like the haircut. Yeah, I got my ears lowered a few days ago. Thanks, dude. I do not feel good about this one, Jonathan Benton. Yeah, tell me about it. Bible Belt Beauties. Yes, sir. SEC dog. Always coming in here. Always offering some good shots. I love it. Hilarious. Saint Germain is in here. Huffer Billy Paul. It's good to see you. One of the OGs of Bobby Durkins, Mr. U Madbra. It's good to see you in here as well. Anyone else I'm missing, y'all forgive me if I have. I'm looking. Tiger Paul Craven, good to see you, Tiger Paul Craven. Just haven't seen you in a while. It's good to see you. Just to let everybody know, Durkins will be doing his thing later on. He's really upset. He doesn't like me at all. Hates my guts. And I'm thinking we're trying to work out a way for us to do an interview with each other. It's going to be rough. But real quick, Slim Shady Canes, you said something about me coming to the Miami game. You're not going to believe where I'm going to be at that day. A family member of mine is a Tennessee grad. I will be at the Tennessee-South Carolina game. Of course, I'll be pulling for Tennessee. But I will be there at that game, so I won't be able to make it down, but it will do my heart good to know that you are in the upstate of South Carolina, and yeah, it's going to be an interesting game, especially how both programs are in different places, but we're really feeling bad as well. Anyway, all right, I'm Brian Knight. I'm not Bobby Durkins. Hit the like button, pass it along, subscribe, all that bunch of good stuff, and pass this along. You take care. And go Tigers.